Let us now talk about vector programs. Once we discuss some basic programs, we'll talk about how vectors work internally. But let's first understand the idea of syntax. So here is a program. I have declared a vector. This is how we create vectors. We write the data type of the elements. Suppose I want to create a vector of characters. I'll create vector and then char here, right? If I want to create a vector of user defined data type, then I'll write the user defined data type here. So this is something that declares a vector. After that, we insert the elements using the pushback function. How pushback function works? Initially your vector is empty, then 10 is pushed, then 5 is pushed. So pushback function inserts at the end, right? So if you do one more pushback, that element will come here. So we've already talked about v.size function that is used to get the size of the vector. One interesting thing that you can see in the traversal program, vector elements can be accessed like arrays using the square brackets. So here I have used the square brackets to access the elements and it works fine. There is another way to access the vector elements, which is v.at_i. There's a difference between these two. This does not do array index out of bound checking. This does array index out of bound checking. What is array index out of bound checking? Say I have 3 elements here. Now if I try to access v4, I am going to go out of bound in the indexes. So if I do v4 here, this program will crash at runtime, right? It will not generate any exception when you compile and run it. There is a difference between these two. This does not check for array index out of bound, but this does. So if you access indexes out of bound and if you use add, it will throw an exception and it won't throw an exception. So this is better in those terms. It's like Java programming where index out of bound are checked. This does not check out of bounds. Okay, so this is accessing array elements, traversing the vector in particular. One more thing, it gives a reference to the element. So if I do vi equal to something, that element will change. You know, if I do vi equal to 5, that will change the value at index I, right? So it's a reference which is returned by this array operator. Let's put back the original statement. So what it does print is, it prints the array, vector element. So the output of this program is 10, 5, 20. We inserted these elements. Now we traverse the vector and printed these elements. Here is another style of creating vectors and traversing them. We can initialize vectors like we can initialize arrays. I have created a vector and initialized it with 3 elements, 10, 5 and 20. So this basically creates a vector and the vector initially has 3 elements, right? And we can traverse the vector like this loop. We can traverse arrays also this way. We can traverse other containers also this way. So what this loop basically does, it goes through every element and prints the elements. So we have 10, 5 and 20 as an output. One thing to remember, if I change the vector elements, if I want to change the vector elements, say I want to do x equal to 6, it would not change the vector elements. So what I need to do is, I need to use reference here if I want to change. So after this, if I run a loop and print the vector again, this will print 666, right? This is changed. But if I remove this ampersand, this would not change anything because this is just a copy of the vector elements. So if we use reference, then the output becomes 666. Here is one more style of creating array and traversal. We can create a vector of given size such that all the elements have given value. So this is size and this is value. What it does, it creates a vector of size 3 where all the values are 10, 10 and 10, right? Please note that vector pre-allocates some extra space. So in all the diagrams, I'm using some extra space, even though there are only 3 elements. I'll explain internal working of vector soon. So this is what it does. It creates a vector of size 3 with all the elements as 10. This is a new style of traversal. Here we are traversing the vector using iterators. We have an iterator and we are using a function begin and one more function end. So what is an iterator? Iterator gives you address of vector elements. Not only vectors, iterators are used with every container. When we use auto, it means automatically assign the data type. So when you are using v.begin, it returns a type iterator of a vector. So that type is also automatically assigned to it. If we don't write auto, then we will have to write this. This is the type of iterator of a vector. : iterator. This is the type. And this is nothing but an address to vector elements, right? An address to a vector element. So what does v.begin returns? It returns the address of first element, address of this element. Basically, it returns an iterator which is address of this element. What does v.end return? End is interesting. Many people get it wrong. End returns address just after the last element, not the last element. So this is what is returned by v.begin. This is what is returned by v.end. Right? And they both return an iterator which is address to element. This return address to this element and end returns address after the last element. So when you traverse the elements, you use as star it because this is an address. You need to dereference it to get the value. So that is how you get the values. So what is the output of this program? It's 10, 10 and 10. So we have learned that there is an iterator of this type. We can use auto to avoid typing this much. v.begin function we learned. It returns the address of first element. v.end, it returns the element after the end. This end function is actually useful. So when you're calling find on a vector and if it does not find anything, it returns end. And we'll see that it's useful in map, unordered map and many other containers. It is an invalid element because it's beyond last and it is used to return something when something is not present in the array or other containers. Here is one more way to initialize a vector and one more way to traverse the vector. We have created an array and here we initialize the vector using the array. Please note that most of the containers in C++ STL, they can be initialized this way, this particular line. You pass the address of the first element and address of the last element, address of the element after the last. Basically, if you are using a vector, then v.end. If we are using an array, then please note that we have used ARR plus n, which is address after the last element. So if you pass these two addresses of some other container, you many times can create one container from the other container. That is what we have done. We have an array which is a container, simple container, and we have created a vector from this by passing the begin address and address of the element beyond the last element. Had it been a vector, for example, suppose there was another vector v2 which had these elements, then we could have used v2.begin, v2.end, and that will create v from v2. So what it does, it takes all elements of the first and last, where the first element is included and last is not included because last is pointer or address to the element beyond last. So this is how you create a vector from the array. This vector is going to have these elements 10, 5, 20. Now we learn one more way to traverse the vector. This is a new way of traversal. This is similar to begin and end. Here what we have used is r-begin and r-end. As you can guess, r-begin means reverse begin. So it points to the last element. So the vector has 3 elements, 10, 5, 20. and R begin gives you this, and R end gives you address after this, right? So what happens now? You do traverse from the last element and you go to the first element. And this iterator is not a normal iterator which is returned by these functions. It is a reverse iterator. So if you do it++, it moves in reverse direction. So what happens? You get the 20 first as an output, then you get 5, and then you get 10. So here we have learned one more way of creating a vector from another container. Here we considered simple another array as a container, and we traverse the vector in reverse direction using R begin and R end. There are 2 more functions, in fact 4 more functions which are there to get the begin and end. So we talked about 4 functions: begin, end, R begin, R end. There are 4 more: C begin, C end, CR begin, CR end. C begin, all these C basically are constant versions of these functions. So CR begin is a constant version of R begin. They give you a constant iterator so that you cannot change the elements using this iterator. In this video, I have talked about many ways to initialize the vector and many other ways to traverse the vector. Please note that we can use any of these initializations with any of the traversals. So there are many combinations possible. Now there must be a question, how do I initialize and traverse the vector? So it's all up to you which way you find more convenient. I personally prefer this way. So if I know the elements beforehand, I will create a vector this way like array, and I'll traverse the vector this way because I'll have to type least in this. I'll just type AutoX V and I'll get the elements one by one. If I do not know the size if I do not know the elements beforehand, then I'll prefer this way. So this is what I prefer among all the ways to create a vector. I'll create an empty vector like this, and then I'll do v.pushback one by one, or maybe in a loop for all the inputs that I'm reading. So v and followed by v.pushback. Some elements 10, 15 or whatever, if I do not know the elements before. So this is how vectors are initialized and traversed. In the next video, we'll talk about how vectors work internally.